I always have to be careful. There's a lot of countries that I don't travel to because I know that the governments in those countries are weak and would potentially hand me over to do a favor for Vladimir Putin. Putin is a cold-blooded killer, and Putin would love to get rid of me.
That was a man who calls himself Vladimir Putin's #1 foreign enemy. Bill Browder has been a target of the Kremlin for years now, and today the president of Russia called him out in that news conference, specifically by name, when he was there with President Trump.
Business associates of Mr. Browder have earned over $1.5 billion in Russia. They never paid any taxes, neither in Russia nor in the United States, and yet the money escaped the country. So we have a solid reason to believe that some intelligence officers accompanied and guided these transactions.
Joining me now is Bill Browder, head of the Magnitsky Global Justice Campaign, and Jack Barsky, former KGB spy and author of Deep Undercover, My Secret Life and Tangled Allegiances as a KGB spy in America. Gentlemen, welcome. Great to have you both here today. Bill, welcome back to the show. It must have gone right through you when you heard Putin call you out by name today.
Well, I wasn't actually watching the press conference, but I noticed all of a sudden my phone started burning up with messages, and I thought, what's going on here? I logged on, and then I saw the comments that he made. And for everybody else, it was a big surprise. For me, Vladimir Putin has been coming after me for a long time. As someone joked on Twitter, I've got a rent-free space in his brain because he spent so much time thinking about me. And he's so mad at me because of the Magnitsky Act. The Magnitsky Act is a piece of legislation which freezes assets and bans visas of people in his inner circle who have been involved in killing my lawyer, Sergei Magnitsky, and doing other type of stuff. And so, in a certain way, I was actually quite pleased to see how much I've gotten under his skin, because that means the Magnitsky Act really works.
Yeah. You know what? You're absolutely right. I mean, it's very clear. Basically, what he suggested today, and Jack, let me get your thoughts on this. He suggested, well, you know what? We'd be happy to have Mueller and his investigators come over here to Russia and interview these 12 individuals that they brought indictments against on Friday for spying on and hacking in the American elections. But there's one little caveat attached. We want a reciprocal ability to come to the United States and to interview and interrogate Bill Browder and his associates. Jack, what do you make of that?
Well, this is typical Putin nonsense. But before I go into this, I'm so delighted as a surprise to be on with Mr. Browder, because I've followed him. I've read his book, and I'm fully supportive of what he's been trying to do. And it really, he's right. He hit them. He hit the Russian government, the oligarchs, and Putin where it counts. It is in the pocketbook, and this is what they have been after to alleviate this in some kind. And the whole idea of it is absolutely ridiculous to say, well, bring them in. We help you investigate these evil people that may have done something wrong to you. I mean, if you believe that, you believe that the moon is made out of cheese.
So, Jack, let me stay with you for a moment. When you watched this play out, what did you think? What did you, with the dynamic between President Trump and Vladimir Putin? There was a lot of criticism out of this that President Trump went way too soft on Vladimir Putin in this conference.
I'm so sorry. I was close to crying. This I so would like for this president to be successful, but what happened today? What happened to the man who likes to fire everybody? What happened to Mr. Gorbachev? Turned down that wall. He was just sweetness, and even if you think he's playing this, but that doesn't work on the international scene. It was sad.
Bill, what do you think?
Well, I don't think that this summit should have happened in the first place. Vladimir Putin has been a global menace. He's been out there invading foreign countries, changing borders, shooting down passenger planes, cheating in the Olympics, meddling with the elections, sending military-grade chemical weapons to the heart of England. This guy is a complete, absolute, total criminal, and running a tiny little economy the size of state of New York. And he's supposed to be on par with the most powerful man in the free world? That's just not how it is. And on top of that...
Well if I may interrupt for a second.
Go ahead, Jack.
he's got half the nuclear weapons on the planet, and that's why we have to be careful dealing with him.
Very good point.
Of course.
I just want to ask both of you before we run out of time. The comment about how when President Trump was in Russia, as a businessman, he had no idea he was there. He said businessmen come and go all the time. He said I couldn't even possibly name all the 500 businessmen who were at that conference, and we certainly aren't wasting our time spying on them. And I'd love to get your reaction to that. Bill, let me start with you, and then Jack.
Well, first of all, Putin may not be spending his time on it, but I guarantee you the FSB, which is the successor organization to the KGB, is. And the other thing is that Putin is a bald-faced liar. He lies about everything, and so I wouldn't believe a word he says in any speech he ever gives. Remember, he said there were no Russian troops in Ukraine until after they took over Crimea. He's a liar.
Jack, what do you think?
Well, this may be somewhat plausible. You don't follow just any old businessman, but they do this. The KGB has done it routinely. You know, anybody you can entrap, you will. So I don't know, and we really don't know until we know what's happening in intelligence. And very often the truth doesn't come out until 10, 20, 30, 40 years later.
Fascinating. Great to have both of you with us today. Thank you very much, Jack and Bill. You certainly know whereof you speak, and we will see you again soon, gentlemen. Thank you so much.